crazy little thing called love. There goes my baby. She knows how to rock and roll. She drives me crazy. She gives me hot and cold fever, then she leaves me in a cool, cool sweat. I gotta be cool, relax, get hip, get on my track, take a back seat, a hitchhike, take a long, long ride on my motorbike until I'm ready. Crazy little thing called love. Gotta be cool, relax, get a hip, get on my track, take a back seat, a hitchhike, take a long, long ride on my motorbike until I'm ready. Crazy little thing called love. There goes my baby. She knows how to rock and roll. She drives me crazy. She gives me hot and cold fever, then she leaves me in a cool, cool sweat. I gotta be cool, relax, I get a hip, I get on my track, I take a back seat, a hitchhike, I take a long, long ride on my motorbike until I'm ready. A crazy little thing called love. Crazy little thing called love. Crazy little thing called love. A crazy little thing called love. Crazy little thing called love. Crazy little thing called love. Called love. Crazy little thing called love. Called love. Called love. A little thing called love. Called love. Crazy little thing called love.
Yeah, aloha.
Aloha.
That music was appropriate. The genesis of why I came into this technology of mitochondrial breath is the exploration of love and its presence or absence within our culture right now. Those of you who were with us in the saga that was a legacy, a protocol of legacy, I would say my conclusion in that experience with so many of you is that humanity is not breathing properly. And that is what's blocking us from experiencing this totality of love and accessing this totality of love. And feel it like this, friends, we're breathing plasma, especially on a planet that is constructed and designed by way of an atmosphere. This is all plasma. And it is very likely that we are not breathing plasma properly. And this is a major blockage. And so I went into like this rabbit hole of like, okay, if there's a solution to this inability, unwillingness to properly breathe with plasma, what is it? And I was guided to the mitochondria. And so I'll share a little bit about that story and then also really show you this beautiful, amazing technology that for me has already been like explosive, okay? But as is the protocol, those of you who have been in ceremony with me, there's a protocol called kulike. And kulike is how you and I may land in order for us to really come into this ceremonial space. So the first thing that we may do in kulike, which means to stand tall, is we may all choose to land. When I feel into landing, I am removing myself of fixations of a past and cravings for a future. I deem this current moment sufficient. For me, there is nothing more interesting than this current moment. At my huelo, my tailbone. I feel this very generous tug. This tug, also known as sacred gravity, Ute Tau Maha, is connecting me to the iron crystal core of this planet. I remember that my relationship with this planet and with gravity is not a punishment, nor is it an imprisonment. I remember that this has been designed in mutual consent, and I am one of its engineers. I choose to land. Only in this landing can we make contact with two very important energy centers. I'll ask that we lift our right hand. In lifting our right hand, we are in recognition of our internal masculine, the uhane. Let's restore the uhane to its rightful throne, that of the pu'uvai, or the heart space. Let's place that right hand over our heart. Let's, you and I, take a deep breath in through the nose and hold. Holding this breath, applying this oxygen in the pu'uvai. Let's fill this chamber with oxygen. Let's be generous with our internal masculine. And exhale through the mouth. In this exhalation, feeling the relaxation of the internal masculine, removed of competition, comparisons, urgency, and belligerency, restored as the hero. Here in the pu'uvai, I offer a mantra of our hero. Pa vale pu'uvai. I open my heart wider. Halo, uhane. I love you. Keeping our right hand over our pu'uvai, let's now make contact with our internal feminine, the unihipili. Let's lift our left hand. Let's restore the unihipili to its rightful throne, that of the na'au, or the sacral. Let's place that left hand over our sacral. Let's, you and I, take a deep breath in through the nose and hold. Holding this breath, applying this oxygen in the na'au. Let's fill this chamber with oxygen. Let's be generous with our internal feminine. And exhale through the mouth. In this exhalation, feeling the proliferation of the internal feminine, removed of condemnation, censorship, neglect, restored as the leader. Here in the na'au, I offer a mantra of our leader. Ua malu. I decide.
I decide.
Mahalo.
Mahalo.
Ili. I love you. And now that our hands are in the proper position known as kulike, a moment to integrate this right relation between the noun and the verb, the intention and the manifestation, the dream and the action. We honor this kulike by uttering 3 times. Aloha ma. Aloha ma.
Aloha ma.
Aloha ma.
Aloha ma. Aloha ma.
Mahalo.
Aloha ma.
Aloha ma means self-reflective love. It's really the circumnavigation of our experience here. I want to just browse these little cubes just to greet all of you. Aloha, hello. So good to be with so many new faces. And I'm also, of course, recognizing people who I've come to know either by way of the ceremonies that we've engaged in thus far this year, in Aloha Ma Congress, my good friends, some family members, Aloha. So something really interesting. I forgot to change my setting to allow for more than 100. So if you are getting messages or texts from your friends and saying like, how come I'm not allowed in? That's likely why. But remember, this will be also offered as a replay in the free portal of the Ulu that myself and my dear sister Kapua Hinano Ko'ika La'i is going to offer sometime this fall. So the replay access will be granted to anyone who signs up to that. So if you are receiving messages from your friends or loved ones saying that they're not able to join, that is why I just forgot to change my setting. So good to see you. Aloha. One more thing that I must do and I get to do is I get to call in my kupuna. In my tradition, before I come into a ceremony, of course, I bring in my relatives. I call in the names of 7 founders and 7 contemporaries. Ua ke oni, ua ka apa o ka lani, ua e lia, ua ka apa o ka lani mahi ai, ua na ho'opi'i hau, ka maka kuhuki lani, lono hiwa kaula, ua moe ke ahi lilinoi, ke ahi ena. Ua vivi hoi va'a. Ua ordashe. Ua urualat. Ua pa ipsi. Ua dharma ikshe. Ua lauda. Ua ikshfahan. Ua mahat. Aloha ma. Aloha ma. Aloha ma. I have a really fun story about how this mitochondrial breath, which my tita Kahulani has nicknamed MÖmaid breath, which is pretty fitting. Also, another term for this breath is folded breath. Folded breath. And I'm going to guide you through this process. And it's literally a breath that we fold. Okay, the technology of mitochondrial breath is by way of folding. But, you know, we have a word in the Hawaiian language called pu'ewe. Pu'ewe. And if you ask modern Hawaiians today what pu'ewe means, they will likely say genetics. Like it's genetics, it's like DNA. And that's even how I have recognized this word and have engaged with this word is genetics. In any case, I was talking to an elder recently, Elder Hawaiian, Kopuna. And we're just kind of, we're just talking about different things. And I brought up the word pu'ewe in relation to DNA. And when I said that word, he corrected me and he said, oh, mitochondria. I was like, what? He's like, pu'ewe means mitochondria. I was like, whoa. Whoa. Because we have this skill in my culture called the kuloli. The kuloli is shapeshifting. And in the culture, what we will commonly do in the ceremony of kuloli is that we have something called an aumakua. An aumakua represents our holistic self. And oftentimes, in order to relate to the aumakua, we hold that energy in a spirit animal. And so any and all lineages of Hawaii, we have an aumakua within our genetic line. And for me and my maternal side, my maternal grandmother is Mano, the shark, the mako shark, and my maternal grandfather's line is the mo'o, or the lizard. And so when we would do the kuloli, the ceremony of the kuloli, we would transform into our aumakua, because our aumakua is that to which offers us messages. It offers us guidance and support. And when we transform ourselves into that spirit animal or into that aumakua, we are receiving those messages. We come back, and then we are the ones to transfer that message directly. And so when I would witness my grandmother, Kawiki Onalani, and some of the elders participate in the ceremony of kuloli, they would say the kamea nui, or the essential thing, is the pu'ewe. The pu'ewe. And so I was like, oh, DNA, right? I was like thinking, oh, hai maka maka, bra. Like, oh, it's just my family. We're the only ones who can do that, very exclusive, right? Because it's the pu'ewe. So it's like, oh, it's in our genes. It's our genetic line that allows us to do this. But when this kopuna corrected me just a couple weeks ago and said, no, pu'ewe is mitochondria, I was like, oh, so it's within the mitochondria. Do we have this technology that allows us to experience multi-dimensional realms? Okay, so there is a protocol called the 2Bs. The 2Bs, that we can decipher something by the 2Bs. And the 2Bs is body and behavior. If we look at something and feel something's body and behavior, it will tell us everything we need to know about its actual function. And this is a relic, this like Ike, this knowledge is a relic from how we translate what the previous universe, Marana, is. Marana is the code of the previous universe, or everything we need to know about what that previous universe is by way of the body and the behavior of the octopus. Because the octopus is the only surviving relic from the previous universe that came into this universe so that it could bring the legacy of that universe into this universe. So of course, it's really important that we know, well, what is that legacy, right? And the octopus shares with us the legacy of electricity. And I know some of this may be a lot of like data right now, but in the 3-part series that really inspired me to come into mitochondrial breath, this is everything we talked about legacy. And we started with the conversation around how the octopus represents the previous universe. Within that dissemination, we came to electricity by way of the body and the behavior. And so I'm like, wow, I think I will just go into the body and the behavior of the mitochondria, especially after what the kopuna shared with me, is that the skill of the kuloli of shape-shifting is actually a code within the body and the behavior of the mitochondria. So let's all talk about breath right now. Breath means respiration, right? It's an inhale, exhale, oxygen, carbon dioxide. It's a cycle, okay? Breath. It's an essential part of how we exist. Before I share anything about breath and the potential disruptions of breath, there's a lot of people here who are either facilitate breath work. Can I have any volunteers? You can raise your hand, don't just pop on, but raise your hand if you wanted to share anything about what you feel is happening with breath and humanity right now. What's a disruption? What is happening right now? Anyone want to volunteer to just share their manao, just their thoughts? There is no right or wrong answer. No? Oh, wait, hold on. Oh, there you go, of course.
Too shallow.
Pi'ikea. Tita, share with me, with us, what is going on with breath?
Aloha. Yeah, I feel like what I've been noticing, I actually need this. So it's interesting when we were doing the class for legacy, I felt like my breath was under attack. So, and I noticed since COVID time, see the way to have people not be able to ascend is to attack the breath, right? Because everything that we are comes through this. And so I noticed I had COVID one time, and inside, my kapuna, he'd already passed. It actually came right before he passed, and I couldn't get to him before he died. So it was like kind of a general attack. But I'm noticing people with it affects our lungs and our heart, right? So the very place where there's, if you can keep people in grief, you can keep them from ascending. And so it goes back to the patriarchal lineage, but I'm feeling like these different bio programs are being implemented right now on a larger level to keep us from breathing correctly. And I noticed that during our classes that I like my breath got really like sideways. So,
Yeah, sister, thank you so much for sharing that. And we all just experienced this global disruption when it comes to breathing, to the point where we were told that we have to wear something to cover ourselves to constrict our breath. And then we had this social movement. And what was the social movement of Black Lives Matter? I can't breathe. And so this is really became loud. And for me, it's very telling that we are not breathing properly. There may be forces that are attempting to infiltrate and disrupt proper breath. But then this is also a sovereign choice that many of us have, is that we do not concentrate fully on what a proper breath means to us. Thank you so much for sharing, my sister. Kulala. Sister Kulala. So good to see you, sis. Breath, brah, breath.
Breath, aloha kahako. For me, what's rising, which always comes back, is lack of presence. And just really in that space and recognizing that the what some like to refer to as the 3D, 4D consciousness in the mind space, whatever's keeping us pulled into the mind is keeping us disconnected from the breath and really disconnected from the body. And so when we bring it back just to such a simplicity, it's like, where are you now? Where are you in this moment? And are you present with like literally your space and your body in order to invite the breath to even want to go into like every nook and cranny to nourish the body? And so that's been really loud for me and something I've been working with over the last 5 months, healing an injury, and it's changed everything.
Yeah. You know, when we go into the medicine of what it means to be holistic and we bring in like the actual medicine of Aumakua, it's all about distribution. And so for many of us, we may feel that we're isolating our breath in different parts of the body, right? Parts of us are not experiencing a proper respiration, which invalidates the whole holistic structure. And so it's really about fair distribution and equal distribution in all parts of ourselves, and thus also how we engage with the exterior conditions as well. Thank you so much for sharing, Kulala. Sabina, aloha, Sabina. You know, I was feeling you'd have something to say, brah.
You know me well, brother. So I appreciate my sisters who just spoke and everything they said. In the work I do, and my brother Sylvan is here today. He's also a continuum teacher. You know, we come from this understanding that the movement is the enemy of fear. So it's a lot about expunging the layers and layers and layers and layers of fear that are in the tissue, i.e. the cells, i.e. the mitochondria, which you inherited from your lineage, your genetics from your parents and your grandparents and all those people behind you. 40 generations back, you have over 1 trillion people behind you that you are the current event of. So that's the mitochondrial lineage, and whatever is passed forward is yours to navigate. So in the work that Sylvan and I teach, this is it's really about allowing the tissue of the body, therefore the cells in the mitochondria, to de-densify, to release the fear, to bring the nervous system into a place of deep relaxation and calm, and ultimately receptivity. So we actually don't breathe. We are breathed. And this is the shift in awareness that's so profound when you allow your organism to become deeply receptive, empathic, adaptable, is that the tissue of your body receives the breath and you are being breathed. And that is the design, the architecture of the human organism in the context of this planet, is that we really are here to be breathed. And can you allow yourself to receive that? And of course, our culture has done everything to turn that 180 degrees to feel that we are not worthy of receiving anything, particularly breath, keeping us in a state of fear, in a state of contraction, in a state of stress, so that the tissue itself becomes compressed, or sometimes moribund, sometimes just like it's in your body but it's not really alive. So this is about letting go at such deep layers and allowing the body to return to its oceanic origins in terms of its movement language, so that you can be breathed.
So beautifully put, sister. And for me, if I were to take everything that you just shared with us in this beautiful way, my translation would be buoyancy.
Yeah, totally.
To restore our buoyancy and our process and experience of levitation. That's one of the things in Heka, Ho'okalakupua, which is Mu Hawaiian magic, the one requirement. There's just one requirement. You must levitate. And of course, if we take that in today's pop culture, it's like, oh, I have to, my body has to leave the ground or something. I have to fly or float. It's like, no, you have to energetically be able to levitate. And for you to share the way you're sharing about being breathed, right? That informs us that we are always levitating, regardless if we're choosing to have our feet on the ground. However our physical body is behaving, we're always breathed, which means we're always levitating. Mahalo. Thank you so much. Amy, my sister, aloha. Breath. Amy, you're muted? Yes? Amy's trying to figure it out. It's like, how do I unmute? Oh, it's okay, Amy. You know what? There is an opportunity for more speaking at another time, and I'll circle back to you, okay? Thanks so much. And also, you have the option of sharing in the comments as well. I'm sure what you have to say is very important and can be supportive for us. So, just coming back to how I was inspired, okay, with mitochondria and with breath. So there's a couple things that are important to note. One is that let's just feel into the function of the mitochondria. Several of you tapped into this. It really is that to which transfers hereditary DNA. Mitochondrial DNA is really what's responsible for the transference of DNA. So now we're talking about legacy, because we also have nuclear DNA within us as well, but it's not as proficient in transferring that which is hereditary. Mitochondrial DNA that is transferred from our mother or from the female line is that to which perpetuates that which is hereditary. And so already when we feel into the mitochondria, it has a code of legacy. It is the code of legacy within our physical body, right? Within the cosmic machine that is you and I. So that's already very telling. And then now let's also feel into another aspect and function of the mitochondria, and it governs cell respiration. Our cells cannot function unless it has proper respiration, and that's what the mitochondria accomplishes, cell respiration. Now I combine both of those together and I'm like, oh, mitochondria holds the actual legacy of breath. If we want to tap into the actual legacy of breath, that's the mitochondria. And so I began this conversation with the mitochondria. First and foremost, I'm available. Please disclose unto me the code of proper breath, the legacy of breath. and feeling into, okay, I feel like one of the disruptions, a great disruption for the collective right now, is that we are not breathing properly, which means we're so distracted. Because feel it like this, we're all suffocating. We're all suffocating. We don't know how to breathe with plasma. Right? Plasma is our atmosphere. You know, if we properly breathe with plasma, what is the universe? Dark matter, dark energy, it's all plasma. We can breathe everywhere once we properly breathe plasma. And so I'm like, wow, okay, we're all suffocating, which is this great distraction of why we cannot exchange and experience perhaps the destiny of the human event and the human experiment, which is love. Love. We have to reconcile so much in order to even come into a space where, like, okay, I'm available now for love. I'm available to not just give love, but receive love, right? Respiration. And so, okay, now I just clarified my question to mitochondria. What is a proper respiration? And so this is what came through for me. Of course, first and foremost, I practiced it and like enjoyed it, had fun with it on my own. And the results have been really amazing for me. You know what Sabina was talking about with that buoyancy. Yeah, like feeling buoyant. Like I'm just feeling buoyant throughout the day because of this mitochondrial breath. So I wanna bring up my screen because I wanna just show you the actual structure of mitochondria before I go into a little bit of detail. And then I would love to show you this breath and invite you to just try it yourself, okay? But first, let's look at the actual like mechanics of this. Okay. Sabina, can you see that? No? Can people see my screen?
Not seeing anything, Keone.
Some are, some aren't, huh?
I can see it.
Yeah, you know, sometimes if you're on your
I
phone,
can see it.
if you're on a call with your phone, you have to do a reconfiguration sometimes, where you can't see the screen. But okay, so I just want to, Sabina, just feel it, girl. Okay, so this is the actual structure of the mitochondria, okay? Now, remember when I said a nickname for mitochondria is folded breath? You can already see that, right? You can see what's happening. There's this thing called the cristae, and that is that like wavy lines within the mitochondria. Okay, it's folded. Now the purpose of why that design is important, the folded cristae, is because it's maximizing its potential in its own space. Now, here's a variation of what I've been like rationalizing, okay, as I explore mitochondrial breath, is that many of us, what we'll do with our, and this is like mainstream knowledge, right? And it's beneficial. I'm not saying this is not beneficial, okay? I'm just offering us a different variation, okay? Is that we have to fill our lungs, right? So much with oxygen, and that's the practice. We're expanding, contracting this breath, when actually we are invited to utilize and maximize our breathing in its resting point. And so with this mitochondrial breath, in correlation to the cristae, which is this foldedness, we are simply gonna fold our breath. Fold. It's not even about hyperextending, hyper-contracting. It's about folding our breath, okay? Now, there's something called the ATP, which is the, adenosine triphosphate. There we are. The adenadrine triphosphate, okay, the ATF. So that is actually what could be considered the currency or the energy. When we participate with other cells, when we participate with the function of all the living things within our body, we need to bring forth this adenosine triphosphate, because that's what legitimizes that interaction. So some people call this the energy molecule. And I remember way back when Sabina shared that, you know, the mitochondria has just as much, if not more, energy than the sun, right? And that's just the mitochondria within the cell. So it's so microscopic, but it produces so much energy. And then let's go back to the pu'ewe, the tradition of the laliku with the Hawaiian elders and how they would shapeshift. It's because they're tapping into that energy, and even their form and their structure can morph because they're tapping into that. Now we're multidimensional because of that. So the squiggly lines, the foldedness is called the cristae, okay? And then let me just go to the next one. And then I'm just gonna, there we go. Oh, you know what? There we go. Okay, so that folded line, the cristae, okay? It's folded. And then notice the matrix, you guys. It's literally called matrix. The matrix is the actual substance. It's like the substance that accommodates the reactions within that cristae. So the matrix is really what consolidates. Feel it like this. The cristae and the oscillation within the cristae is generating an energy. That motion is generating an energy. The matrix, which is the substance within the mitochondria, that's what holds that energy. And then what does the matrix do from that holding is it determines how to distribute. Remember with the ATF, it's like the gift we bring when we want to engage with something. We have to bring the ATF. That's what legitimizes our ability to actually exchange. It's the energy molecule. And so now this matrix actually decides and determines how it's going to distribute the energy, the oscillation created within the cristae. And this is why the matrix, the power of the matrix within the mitochondria, can grant us access to many dimensions. Because it's the matrix that determines what our reality will be, because it holds the energy, the actual energy. Okay, is that making sense to everyone? Yeah. Okay, I'm gonna take this off now. So that was like a really quick run through of the actual sophistication of the body and the behavior of the mitochondria. Remember, in order to know something's true function, we just decipher what the body and the behavior of it is. And we've already I gave you a really, really quick run through of the body and the behavior of this mitochondria. We have the cristae, which is this foldedness. It's maximizing its ability of oscillation at its resting point. Its resting point. And then that's what offers that energy to be held in the matrix. The matrix then determines what reality it wants to lend that energy to. It holds the currency. Like, and I'm meaning that in all the different ways currency can translate as, right? Yeah, it's like we have to pay in order to engage with a certain kind of reality. And that's what the matrix offers. It's so interesting, how this word matrix in the last 25 years just kind of exploded, but mainly because of the series, right? Matrix. And it's interesting that if I were to just go on a generic conversation with people, it somehow has something bad. Matrix is bad. And so we can even feel not only are we repressing our breath, respiration, but we're repressing these symbols or these codes that actually hold a lot of power. And they're also being suppressed. And so many of us, the moment we hear matrix, we're like, oh, no, not for me. Yeah, matrix is bad, but remember, if we go by the code of the mitochondria, the matrix is that which determines what reality we are existing in. That's huge. I want to just take a break for a moment there. Sabina, did you realize that you're going to be my co-facilitator today? Sabina, because you're
Yes.
so good at taking information and then organizing it, is there anything you want to share with the group about everything that I just shared about the body and the behavior of the mitochondria?
Well, I love the word matrix. I've been using it for a long time in as a way to describe plasma, actually. And the buoyancy in the body that is allowing everything that all the different cells in the body to actually be suspended and not crash into each other and glom into each other. And there's something that is called balanced reciprocal tension. So think about that. Balanced reciprocal tension is actually the membrane. Like think of the surface of water, like a lake, and how that lake manages to hold its membrane, right? So it's this balanced and reciprocal constant movement happening that allows it to not break, to contain itself. And so that is something that's happening inside the cell itself. It's like, here is the ultraviolet light of a star compressed into this structure we're calling a mitochondria, and it is folded and folded and folded because it's compressed, just like the convolutions of the brain are folded. So what is able to hold and conduct that much voltage, that much light? Water, fluid, right? So there is this, like on every fractal layer, there is this constant conversation between light and water, this energetic. So that's what I want to say. That's a very simplistic way at looking at what mitochondria are doing inside the cell, is they are somehow containing this incredible voltage of 10,000 times the light of the sun, converting it into ATP as an energy source, but contained in this overall field of fluid so that we don't fry, so that we can walk around in this oceanic body that we're all wearing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay.
Good. Yes, thank you, sister. And that's the importance of that matrix, right? And then we can also transfer matrix as plasma. And it's really that matrix which holds the capacity to then distribute what needs to be distributed. Otherwise, just like Sabina was sharing, we become destroyed altogether. And so it's this beautiful consolidation of that energy. But remember, in order for that matrix to even exist in the power to which it hosts, it has to first be honored in that Christi, that folded energy, folded, maximize space within a resting point. And so this breath, mitochondrial breath, and like I was sharing, you can nickname it, folded breath, because that's practically, literally what it is. But what we would do with mitochondrial breath is we would just try it out for a moment. Just inhale, and as you inhale, imagine and feel it as it's being folded. Yeah, fold the breath. Now, as you're folding it, don't pause, because, if we're working with lineage and legacy as well, you don't cut it off, right? So we'd be violating that law of lineage. So don't be like, no, don't cut it off. Fold it. So as you maneuver, you pulling it in. Even feel it. That's how we work generationally, right? When we maneuver, right? When a generation is then amplified, we're maneuvering it. We're not stopping and starting again. So just play with that. Just inhale and then exhale with folding. And then the question I have from Maria, I began with just my mouth. Okay, so maybe just start with your mouth. Inhaling and exhaling through your mouth. Once you become versed in that, then you could definitely play around with alternating with mouth, nose. Maybe you want to do it strictly through your nose. But perhaps in this initial state, just begin to practice that with your mouth. Okay, so just begin. Notice when you fluctuate from inhale to exhale. Don't pause. Don't stop when you begin to maneuver from an inhale to an exhale or exhale to an inhale. Allow that to be streamlined as well, okay? Yes. The way that I would invite you to begin is with the mouth open, breathing in and out through the mouth. Start with 4. Start with just 4. 4 folds, inhale, 4 folds, exhale 4 times. Just begin to play with that. And I'm using 4 as an example. This is totally random, but also 4 correlates to the amount of corrections that is required in order to restore us from love. I'm not going to go too far into like the mechanics of this, but in that series that inspired me to be on this call right now and to talk about mitochondrial breath, there is a code within the word le, mu, ri, a. Le, mu, ri, a. 4 corrections to restore humanity into love. The first correction is love the body. Le, love the body. The second correction is mu, love the contrast. Love the contrast. There will always be differences, friends. There will always be differences. This is part of being in a world of contrast. And when I say love the contrast, I'm not promoting or inviting you to assimilate. I'm inviting you to withstand the contrast to which we exist in. Otherwise, what's going to happen? You're going to shut down. You're going to shut down. You're going to close up because the contrast is going to overpower you. Love the body. Make sure everything has a place to land. Love the body. This is the home. If you don't love the body, you're orphaned. You're orphaned. You don't have a home. Love the body. Then love the contrast. Love the lineage. Love the lineage. You know that mitochondria with that hereditary line that's been transferred over and over and over again? Honor that. Honor the lineage. Love the lineage. And then love completions. Love completions. If I go all the way back to the primary star lineage, which is Mata-Roro Draco, right? The reptilians. But Mata-Roro Draco, one of the experiments is death. Death. And this really triggers a lot of people, but really what death is sharing with us is that we're here with an objective as well to complete something. Otherwise, you're going into reincarnation because you have an attachment. You know, the Buddhists speak of this so beautifully about non-attachment. And so that final correction is exactly the whole doctrine of Buddhism, which is non-attachment, completed and let go. So love the body, love contrast, love lineage, love completions. And so really when you begin with the mitochondrial breath, perhaps 4, so you can honor those corrections, okay? Then from 4, I will invite you to amplify yourself to even greater. Go to 6, and then 6 times 3 is 18. Octopus has 3 hearts, okay? Do it 18 times. Once you become versed in the respiration of 18, bro, go all the way to 33. Do 33, okay? For the spinal cord, the vertebrae, all right? But let's begin with just 4. Let's you and I just do that again. Remember, we're folding the breath. And as we maneuver, we're not pausing. We're not shutting that breath off. We're pulling it as we maneuver, okay? So let's do this together. Just like empty out. Okay? And let's begin. Yes, yes. As you honor that Christai within you in this pattern that you're creating, you're really honoring the matrix that is you. Now you have this currency in which to exchange with, and I'm even talking about dimensions. I'm talking about chosen realities to which you consent yourself to have access to. And I want to take us all the way back to the conversation that I had with this kupuna who finally corrected me and said, no, pu'eve is mitochondria, boy. I was like, whoa, because remember, when I was growing up, they would say that the requirement for the kuloli or for the shape-shifting is the pu'eve. And I was like, oh, okay, DNA. You gotta be of Hawaiian blood. You gotta be of a Hawaiian genetic line, right? I was thinking I was all special, brah. Until the kupuna said, no, it's mitochondria. And we all have that mitochondria. And so in order for you to be in your proper kuloli, or your shape-shifting, the body and the behavior of the mitochondria. Oh, thank you for this prompt. I'm gonna spell it out, pu'eve. And even if you guys, I'm gonna do it in the chats right now. Even if you go into like a, like a Hawaiian dictionary and you put in pu'eve, it'll say like genome. So even the modern dictionary has it, I wouldn't say wrong, right? But like, not specific enough, because it literally means mitochondria. Pu is like, can mean line or like a well, okay? It's like a source. And then eve is kin. And so like pu'eve, my line to all imaginable kin. Yeah, bro, we're all shut. We're preventing ourselves from the totality of this phenomenal experience we're all having. And my conclusion is because we're not breathing properly. We don't know how to breathe with plasma, okay? Yes, thank you so much, Ileana. I would actually prefer that I want to play some music, and I just want us to just play with this ourselves. Notice when I do mitochondrial breath, sometimes I'm rocking, and that's just to support me in the maneuvering. You know what I mean? It's to support that maneuvering. Some people like to rock back and forth. Okay, so even if your physical body, if you want to maneuver your physical body to help promote, right, that Christai, that folding, I would encourage you to do that. The most important thing, and this is so basic and so simple, just fold your breath. That's all. Maximize the space without having to exaggerate your lungs or your capillaries. You don't need to. If you want to, that can be supported. But I'm saying as far as mitochondrial breath goes, it's not about exaggerating. It's about utilizing and maximizing the space at its resting point, okay? So that's why we fold, all right? Here's what I'm gonna ask us to do. I'm gonna play some music and start with 4. Do 4 rotations. And then perhaps allow yourself to amplify. a little bit more. I would say that a proper mitochondrial breath is when you can do 18. And I'm only saying that because that has been my experience. It's when I'm doing 18 up and down, then I'm really like, oh, I feel that buoyancy that Sabina was talking about, that levitation. I begin to really feel that at 18, right? That consistency is so important. The patterning is so important. So, how's everyone feeling? You ready for this? We're gonna do this, right? Yeah? Yeah. All right. So I'm gonna play some music, and then I'm just gonna invite you to play with it. Just begin to play with it. Remember, as you maneuver, you're not stopping. Don't stop. That would be a violation to lineage, to legacy. If we were to, no, maneuver, keep that breath pulling. Even when you reverse, don't pause that breath. Pull it back down, right? Respiration, true respiration. Don't stop it. All right. Yes, and I would say that the objective would be 18 up, 18 down, 18 times. Okay? But just begin with 4. Just begin with 4 so that you can really acclimate yourself into it without having to get so caught up in the mechanics, right? Because sometimes that's what distracts us from going into like the true, like I would say, like the authenticity of rituals and practice. We get so caught up in the mechanics. So just acclimate yourself. Begin with 4, amplify to where you're at 18. And then you really begin to feel something. You begin to feel a matrix, right? It's the like the energy. It's like the highest potential of energy within the body, but it's not going to overpower you because it's also be fairly distributed. Okay? Yes. All right. I'm going to do it with you as well.
Returning to the mother of us all. Returning to the mother of us all. Returning to the mother of us all.
Feel that distribution, the matrix that is you by way of your adenosine triphosphate coming into your power, breathing properly with plasma, engaging properly with plasma. Plasma is truly the component of all the materials to which you and I have access to in this phenomenal world. Identifying yourself as plasma, expanding your consciousness, your awareness, and your access to all dimensions because of plasma. Mahalo. Sabina, my co-facilitator. Share with us your experience with just this experimentation, right, of mitochondrial breath.
Buoyancy has arrived. Spaciousness. I found myself really moving up and down the midline. Just taking the exhale down my midline, side to side, and then up my midline, kind of in the interest of distribution, to like make it, feel it throughout my whole body. I feel very clear. I feel quieter, more slowed down. My nervous system feels quieter. And Sister Kelly, presence is arrived.
Yes. Yes, my sister. Thank you for sharing your experience. And I just want to address some of the some comments that came through. I got a direct message, a private message about there's noticing that there's more fluency in either the inhale or more fluency within the exhale. So of course the objective is to be neutral in both the exhale and the inhale. So that's something that you can just be aware of. It's like, wow, I'm feel like I'm proficient with the folding of the inhale, but the exhale, it's a little disrupted, or vice versa. As far as me like translating, like, what does that mean? If you are more proficient in the inhale or the exhale, I don't know. You know, that's something that you can explore yourself and come into a discernment of why are you more free in the exhale and more rigid in the inhale, or vice versa. Okay, so that's a really good point if some of you notice that yourself. And then with Kyra saying there's a little confusion as far as like the pattern. Yeah, you know, the pattern, the way that I introduced it is that we would do the folding 4 times. So 4 folds, right? This is just initial, how you could initially introduce yourself to mitochondrial breath. So folding 4 times would be, and then reverse, right? That would be a full cycle, and then you do that cycle 4 times. And then you can amplify yourself to do more. When I was with you all, I brought myself up to 18, which I feel, remember, just in my own experience, 18 is where it's at. 18 is really where you go into and you really come into recognition of that matrix energy, okay? Recognition of that matrix energy is when you go into the 18. And then, anyone else? Great, yeah, I'm glad to see many of you were able to go up to 18, yes, yes. Yeah, and you know this expanded piece, right? About feeling expanded without having to exaggerate the breath. That's what I feel is unique about mitochondrial breath, is that it's honoring the resting point. And this is what the Christi does within the mitochondria, is it folds itself so it can maximize itself within its space without having to exaggerate it at all. Okay? Wonderful. Mahalo. And speaking of which, I see Amy made a comment. Amy, do you have your sound? Is there anything you want to share at this moment? Because you were not able to share with this group some of your musings about breath. Would you like to share that now?
Okay, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Oh, fantastic. Look, I've
Well, we can hear you, but now it's all choppy, sister. It's
intelligence to be able to use my
Yeah, it got a little choppy. It's likely your service, dear sister Amy. Mahalo for your efforts, your valiant efforts, sister. And maybe in lieu of your share, I just want to read off what you shared in comments just so that you can have a voice right now, okay? So Amy says, making space for biological intelligence to connect, calm, and guide us through the process of change. Yeah. You know, when I feel the maneuvering, that folding, I feel that change. I feel my availability of change and the accessibility of change. That's what's so powerful for me about that patterning of the folding within the Christi. Mahalo. Thanks. Melanie, Sister Melanie, for me, I noticed harder on the inhale and understood this to be about my capacity to receive, which I have been aware wants to open even wider. Yeah, and that could be something that may suggest why there is a kind of imbalance with the inhale and the exhale. We can feel like inhale is your ability to receive, and then the exhale is your ability to give. And so perhaps if there's a disruption with your inhale, it's like you're, I gotta shut, no, I'm suspicious. Like what's coming into my field, all of that, right? And then if there's a disruption with the exhale, perhaps it's because like, and I don't want to say you don't have anything to share, right? But you don't deem what you have to share worthy to be shared. That's why so many people silence themselves, comparing themselves to others. Oh, they're doing it this way. It's not the way I'm doing it. So I'm just gonna, not me. I won't share anything. And so allowing yourself to share, take the risk, you guys. It's scary. It's scary to show up and be sovereign and to say, I have information for you and you and you and you and you. And it's just a selection. It's not a mandate, but I will not silence myself. And so perhaps, right, if there's a disruption in the exhale, that exhale process, it may be because, I don't want to be seen, heard, I don't want to share. I'm too afraid of the consequences therein. Thank you for that, Melanie. Okay. Leslie says, vertebrae in my neck have moved so beautifully, been a long time. As a newbie, my experience is quite physical. It feels so good. You and me both, girl. I'm a newbie to this too. Like literally, this has just been since the completion of that series of a protocol of legacy. Did I do the whole, I went and did my whole assessment. And I said, well, what's the core of the disruption? And I said, we're not breathing properly. That's what's disrupting even our availability to even make proper corrections. So here's what I'm going to encourage you to do. Proceed with experimenting and exploring with that, okay? What will happen is you're going to be able to be super creative and playful with it. Yeah, create your own variations of this mitochondrial breath. Remember, the kamea nui, the essential thing is that it must be folded. If the mitochondria, by way of the body and the behavior, tells us the code of the legacy of respiration, the actual lineage of respiration, how to breathe properly, it's all in that, the body and the behavior. That folding, that's it. It's as simple as that. And remember, with lineage and legacy, don't disrupt it. Don't stop it as you maneuver. That is a violation to lineage. Allow it to continue, a continuation, even when you reach the point of maneuvering back into an exhale from an inhale, vice versa. Keep that line open as you fluctuate. My recommendation is 18. So you would do, right, the maneuvering 18 times. That would be one cycle. 18 times, up and down, one cycle. Do that 18 times. Okay, 18 cycles. Brah, the greatest thing happened to me, and of course it would happen this morning. I woke up in mitochondrial breath. I was like, whoa. Yes. And I'm not saying that this is how you should always breathe from here on out. I'm not sharing that. I'm saying this is how you can tap into, right? That currency, that matrix currency, which allows you to be mutable with the energetics that we all get to, participate in, with plasma and everything that's comprised of plasma. I do want to invite, because I see you, Catherine, and I wasn't really going to have anyone step on and make any sharings, but since your hand is raised, I would love to honor you. Catherine, what would you like to share, sister?
Thank you, Brother Canny. It's just much easier for me to share verbally. So I really enjoyed playing with the breath, and I got to this point where I got to minimizing my movement allowed me to get into 18 more easily. And then I got to this point where I felt like I needed to let go of the numbers and just be breathed. And from this state, I could see how this breath is a blessing to lineage. It's a blessing to our ancestors, to our descendants. And it felt so good and so beautiful. And I felt called to share that widely. Thank you.
Oh, mahalo. Thank you so much, sister. And with sister's experience, it was more so of not getting so caught up in counting, not getting so caught up in the actual body movement. And so it's a great example too of positioning yourself in what is most compatible for you, to not get so caught up in the mechanics. That's where we go into saturated masculine. Masculine, right, needs to predict everything. And now we're not even in the ceremony of this experience, because now we're just predicting what comes next, right? That's why they say in patriarchy, we live in the future. We don't live now, right? Because we got to predict everything. And so whatever can accommodate you to be in the ceremony of mitochondrial breath, just like sister here, maybe it's don't count it all. Trust your intuition. Trust that you are doing proper oscillations, and then you may likely find yourself in the proper oscillation that is most compatible for you. Mahalo, sister. All right. Well, this has been super fun, and I'm so grateful to you all. We're going to continue this conversation in Ulu when I open up the portal for Ulu membership. So if you haven't already, I would encourage you to sign up for that. It's completely free. It's a 5-month journey with me and Kopo Hinano Kauikala'i. And Ulu, of course, is the primordial breathing and movement, like artistry of the Mu. And we're gonna be in this portal for 5 months together. And we're definitely going to honor mitochondrial breath. This replay will be accessible in that portal once it opens. If you sign up for the waitlist, you will receive an email once that opens and you can register, and then boom, you got the content. We'll have live calls together. The live calls that you cannot make, you'll have access to all the replays. I feel so good about sharing this. This was a direct message from my kupuna, from my elders. They say, make this accessible to everyone. And so there are some things that I will never argue with when it comes to the transmissions I get from the kupuna. And plus, I have been so cared for by all of you and by my kupuna. So I am so happy to honor this and to provide this for all of us. All right, Sabina, any last words to share with this amazing crew before we all disperse for the day?
Go well and breathe fully.
Yes, just that. Breathe fully. In fact, let's all disperse with just saying that over and over and over again as we tune out. I will invite you to unmute yourself and let's just all repeat, breathe fully until we all just tune out.
Breathe fully.
Breathe
Thank you. Breathe
Actually, that would have.
Fully. Breathe fully. Breathe fully. Breathe fully. Breathe fully. I love you completely. Aloha ma.